heading into 2022, Duke had lost 13 straight ACC games. Mike Elko ended that streak in the first conference game that he coached. He ultimately won 5 conference games and ultimately finished the year at 9-4 to give Duke just their third 9-win season since 1941. Duke's story last year was truly unbelievable, but now no one's sleeping on the Blue Devils, and now it's time to see what they can do for an encore. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys, ready to break down everything you know about the Duke Blue Devils heading into this upcoming college football season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, guys, beating out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 5 years. So if you want one of the lowest prices in the country for a guaranteed winning season, guaranteed money right back in your pocket, and the best customer service that any handicapper is going to give you, guaranteed, this is the place for you. Go sign up today for that full year-long subscription. Check out our Patreon account as well for exclusive college football content year-round, and also make sure to send us some gear. Send us some Duke gear up here. We don't even have any blue gear, period, except for Louisiana Tech. No blue gear in our background. So send us some Duke gear, or whoever your team may be. Send it to that mailing address down in the description below so we can represent your team in every single Gridiron Expert video. So let's take a look at Duke, guys. I mean, you look at how bad the Blue Devils have been the last couple of years. Mike Elko comes in, first-year head coach, and you go, okay, it's going to be a rebuilding year. It's going to take time. And they had a fantastic start. Finished the year at 9-4, third 9-win season since 1941. I mean, it was unbelievable. And now 18 starters are back for Duke. The talent is there and may even do better than last year, although we're not sure if the schedule will allow that. But you take a look at who they've got coming back, guys. 10 starters on offense, one that averaged 32.8 points per game. Riley Leonard is one of the better quarterbacks in the conference, and people don't talk about him nearly enough. We're focused on K. Klubnik, and we're focused on Drake May and guys like that. What about Riley Leonard, who threw for nearly 3,000 yards and 20 touchdowns last year, and was also the leading rusher for the Blue Devils with 699 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns? This guy is dangerous. He's a major factor for why the Blue Devils thrived last year offensively and will again this year. They also have Jordan Waters, though, returning at running back, the top running back, not a quarterback. And they have all their pass catchers returning, led by Jalen Calhoun with 873 yards last year and Jordan Moore. So this offense had a chance to maybe eclipse last year's 32.8 points per game mark, which is pretty dang impressive. Defensively, Mike Elko, he's a defensive mind, and we saw it implemented last year. 8 starters are back as the Blue Devils went from allowing 39.8 points per game in 2022 to 22.1 in 2021 to 2022. The year gap there, 17.7 points per game. They improved defensively by over 17 points per game. It was unbelievable. 8 starters are back now. They do lose their top 2 tacklers, but the defensive line absolutely loaded. The secondary very strong, led by Jalen Stinson. This Duke team, guys, may not be as good defensively as they were last year, but they're not going to completely fall off. I mean, 22.1 points per game, I'd be surprised if they allow more than 25. So this is going to be one heck of a year for Duke. Can they match last year's 9-win total? That's the million-dollar question. One thing we should look at, when you look at the schedule, it's pretty tough, first off. No doubt about that. But one thing you should keep in mind, not to dog on Duke and say that last year was a fluke, because I don't think it was, but Duke, 9 wins, beat only 2 teams with a winning record last year. And that was Wake Forest in their season finale, and then UCF in their bowl game. They only beat 2 teams that finished the year with a winning record. This year, they faced 8 teams that finished last year with a winning record. Not easy at all, and they open up the year against Clemson, the ACC favorite in 2023. A lot of people are saying this could be an upset game, right? I mean, even we said, hey, if you're Clemson, you cannot afford to overlook the Blue Devils, because you can't. It's a Labor Day Monday game on the road against a Duke team that's loaded with experience and has a lot of confidence and would love nothing more than in week 1 to immediately shake up not just the ACC, but the entire college football world with a massive upset over the Tigers. But I don't think that's going to happen. Clemson is, to me, on upset alert. They have to be mindful of Duke, but they will not lose to Duke. This is a team that is loaded defensively, maybe one of the best defenses in the entire country. They have 7 starters back on offense. They've got Cade Klubnik. They've got Will Shipley. They've got Antonio Williams. They've got a new offensive coordinator in Garrett Riley, who we saw what he did last year at TCU, should do phenomenal things with Clemson. And I just don't know if Duke, defensively, as good as they are, can slow down that new offense. And conversely, as great as Duke's offense was, can they get anything going against this Tigers defense? I'm going to say no. I don't think Duke eclipses over 21 points in this game. Clemson finds a way to win on the road. Duke drops to 0-1. I will say right after that, the schedule lightens up and they win their next 3. They beat Lafayette, no issue. They beat Northwestern, no issue, especially at home. And amid all the struggles that Northwestern's going through, beat them 31-23 last year, should win again this year. And I just think they beat UConn, a team that did go bowling last year, a team that is not going to be bad this year in a Jim Mora. But if you're Duke, you realize that UConn doesn't have much of a passing game. They struggle to throw the ball. We talked about that in our UConn video. UConn, if you want to win, you got to run the ball. Duke knows if you want to win, you got to stop UConn's run game, and they will. Even though it's on the road, which is intriguing, they are the better team all the way around and should beat UConn by double digits. So just like that, they are 3-1. They're looking good. Then they play Notre Dame right before their bye week, and I think they fall to the Fighting Irish. They fall to Notre Dame. A Notre Dame team that is a college football playoff contender, no doubt about it. A Notre Dame team that gets a major quarterback upgrade with Sam Hartman, transferring in from Wake Forest, where he had 347 passing yards against Duke last year. The Demon Deacons lost to Duke 34-31, but Hartman had himself a day against this Duke secondary. While I believe they improve, I don't think they're going to have enough to stop Sam Hartman again this year. Sam Hartman has another big day. Notre Dame's defense, especially in the secondary, is insanely good. They contain Riley Leonard, and if you contain Riley Leonard, you win the game. And I believe Marcus Freeman does just that. So, with that, Duke is 3-2 heading into their bye week. It's not the end of the world. Nothing's bad here. The only 2 losses are to Clemson and Notre Dame, 2 teams that are playoff contenders. The rest of the season still very much ahead of them, and they come out of their bye week and I think beat NC State. I do think they beat North Carolina State. And a lot of people say, oh my God, you can't pick the Wolfpack to win this game or lose this game. Well, yeah, we can. Because you look at NC State, guys, the talent's there, but I always feel that they kind of just don't ever live up to the expectations set by Dave Doeren. And this year, they have some questions. Brennan Armstrong transfers in a quarterback from Virginia. That's huge, getting a guy in that knows the ACC, has tons of Power 5 starting experience, but was no good last year. Yes, battled injuries, we know, but wasn't any good. Can he return to the form from 2020, from 2021? Can we get that Brennan Armstrong? That is the million-dollar question. You also look at NC State. Outside of that, the defense is good. I think Duke can match that. I think Duke can match and come pretty dang near close to NC State's defense. So 2 strong defensive teams. I think Duke owns the offensive edge with all the experience they have coming back. They have home field advantage. They have the week of rest on their side. I think they beat the Wolfpack, and I feel pretty confident about that. So they've got 4 wins now. They're 2 wins away from bowl eligibility. They're not going to get them in their next 2 games, I can tell you that. I don't think they beat Florida State on the road. I don't think they're there yet. Talent-wise, going on the road to Tallahassee, very difficult place to play. You're facing a team that has a better offense than you, led by Jordan Travis, and just the amount of transfers that Mike Norvell brought in on that side of the ball. Florida State should have one of the better offenses in the entire country, and that defense was insane last year for Florida State, and we didn't talk nearly enough about it. We were so focused on Jordan Travis that we didn't realize how good Florida State's defense was. They allowed just 165 passing yards per game. So again, if Duke can't air it out with Riley Leonard and they had to win this game solely on the ground, that really makes them one-dimensional, which really, really, really helps out Florida State. Kind of like we've talked about with Clemson or Notre Dame, 2 of the other better defenses that they will face. Become one-dimensional, they struggle to win the game. They struggle to move the ball offensively, and I think that's exactly what happens against the Seminoles. So Duke loses at Florida State, and they lose at Louisville, a team that, like Florida State, like Notre Dame, like Clemson, has a phenomenal defense, one that racked up 50 sacks in 2022. While I do lose a good amount of those sack production, Jeff Broad basically reloaded on that side of the ball. He reloaded big time through the transfer portal offensively. Louisville's a sneaky good team in 2023. They're a couple upsets away from maybe contending for an ACC title, and I just don't see them losing at home to the Blue Devils. So with all that being said, they drop those next 2 games, and they enter the month of November at 500. They're 4-4. Which is not a bad mark at all. But some would say disappointing, considering last year they only lost 4 games all year long. And now you got a whole month left to play, and you've met that total. But you look at the month of November, it's really pretty favorable. You get home games at Wake Forest and Pittsburgh, and in between, a road trip to North Carolina, which isn't really a road trip, and then you play arguably the worst team in the ACC in Virginia. There's possibility there for Duke to win 2 games. Well, I'll tell you right now, I think they get their first win of the 2 at home on a Thursday night against Wake Forest. Those midweek games, first and foremost, are tough. Those midweek games are not easy at all. So, especially if you're the road team. So, Wake Forest already at a disadvantage there. Now you look at what happened last year. Duke beat Wake Forest, beat them 34-31. Now they don't have Sam Hartman. And does that mean that Wake Forest is going to completely fall off? Absolutely not. Mitch Griffiths is more than capable. 4 of his top 5 pass catches returned. Justice Ellison's back at running back. But the weakness for Wake Forest last year was their secondary. They struggled in stopping the pass. And while I do think they take a big step forward on that side of the ball, and especially in the back 7, I don't think they're going to have enough to stop Riley Leonard and this passing attack, as Duke is certainly hungry to finally get back in the win column after dropping their last 2 games. You got a Thursday night game here. You got a Duke team that put up 502 yards on Wake Forest last year, and defensively going to be roughly about the same. Give me Duke all day at home. Blue Devils get their 5th win. They then go on the road to North Carolina, a team they should have beat last year. They lost 38-35, allowed the game-winning touchdown with 16 seconds left. A heartbreaking defeat for Duke. And unfortunately, I think they're going to be in for more heartbreak this year. Home field advantage, to me, doesn't play a huge role in this game, so that's not what we're basing it off of. What I am basing it off of is UNC's offense and the ability of Drake May. He was phenomenal last year. He's going to be phenomenal this year. And while I think this is a very high-scoring game, just like it was last year, the 2 teams combining for 1,038 yards of offense because neither team had much of a defense, I think UNC's defense actually takes a bigger step forward than people think. They returned 6 of their top 7 tacklers. The secondary should be improving game by game in 2023. And I don't think Mack Brown allows his squad to lose this game, especially if North Carolina's in ACC title contention, playoff contention, who knows where they may be. This is a close game, just like it was last year, but North Carolina finds a way to pull it out in what will be one of the better quarterback battles in the ACC between Riley Leonard and Drake May. But UNC ultimately gets the win. Duke back to 500, 5-5, but luckily for them, they win their next 2 games. They clinched bowl eligibility with a win at Virginia, the worst team in the ACC. They beat by 21 last year. That was the game that ended the 13-game ACC losing streak. That was the first conference win for Mike Elko. Yes, it's on the road, but the Cavaliers are going to struggle mightily, especially offensively. Even if defensively they slow down Riley Leonard in this offensive attack, Virginia offensively won't have enough to keep up and find ways to put points on the board. So they lose that game. Duke gets bowl eligibility, and they have senior day at home against Pittsburgh. People are out there saying Pittsburgh torched Duke last year, and they won convincingly. And They didn't. They lost by 2 points. Duke lost by 2 to the Panthers. They lost because they couldn't get that 2-point conversion in the final minute. They lost by 2 points. And I look at some of the numbers here. Duke outgained Pittsburgh in that game. Duke outgained the Panthers. But what the problem was becoming one-dimensional, just like we mentioned with some of these other games against stingy defenses. Duke was held to 63 rushing yards in that game. So Riley Leonard had himself a day, but because they weren't balanced, because they were only one-dimensional offensively, they couldn't find a way to win. This year, that's not the case. Home field advantage on senior day. Duke is a lot more balanced offensively. Pittsburgh's still one heck of a team. It's going to be close, but they do win this game. I think defensively they take a little bit of a step back. Duke takes advantage of that. Rushes for at least 100 yards. Leonard throws for a crisp 250 at least. And Duke gets their 7th win of the season to finish the year at 7-5. And honestly, all things considered, that's a heck of a year. Considering what Duke football had been going through the last couple of years, the final few years of the David Cutcliffe era, 7-5, another winning season is a phenomenal year for the Blue Devils. Again, tough schedule against playoff contenders in Clemson and Notre Dame and Florida State. At Louisville, at North Carolina, extremely, extremely tough. Maybe you have them dropping one other game in there or losing to a team that we have them beating. That's fine. 6-6. Duke is going bowling again. There's no doubt about that. Too much talent. Great coaching by Mike Elko. I think they clinch another great winning season. They go to another bowl game, have a shot at an 8-win season following a 9-win season. And look, Duke more than likely will forever be a basketball school. But that football team under Mike Elko finally becoming relevant, not just in the ACC, but on the national stage as well. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. And of course, send us some gear. We'd love to get a Duke helmet up here. Send us your team's favorite gear to the mailing address down in the description below so we can represent them in every single Gridiron Expert video. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.